Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just back in with another installment of finding the sequence of the end times in the Bible, and I'm in Isaiah. And to me, these two chapters, Isaiah 13 and 14, are very powerful. They're very specific, and they cross-reference other parts of the Bible. So to me, that's amazing whenever I see that. And it's titled "The Judgment of Babylon." And so for people to understand, Babylon in modern day is America. And you get proof of that by reading Revelation 17 and 18. They will leave no doubt in anybody's mind who even has a basic understanding of what's going on in the world that is describing America to a T. I mean, perfectly. And so whenever I'm reading Babylon here, just replace it with America. And then that's what's prophesied to happen to America in the last days. And to some extent has already started. Isaiah 13 is titled "The Judgment of Babylon." The oracle concerning Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw. And so just so people understand, the setup is the beginning is like a foreshadowing to this great battle in the Middle East, and then it goes through the specific sequence, starting with salvation and then the wrath and then that kind of thing. So just know that. It's kind of like a preamble introduction. Verse 2, "On a bare hill raise a signal, cry aloud to them, wave the hand for them to enter, the gates of the nobles. I myself have commanded my consecrated ones and have summoned my mighty men to execute my anger, my proudly exalting one." So it says that in Revelation that when God sends the other nations to destroy America, it's to fulfill God's ambition, not Iran's or China's or Russia's. Nothing to do with that. It has to do with God. Just know that. It's very important. And we're reminded of that here, to execute God's anger. Verse 4, "The sound of a tumult is on the mountains, as of a great multitude, the sound of an uproar of kingdoms, of nations gathering together. The Lord of hosts is mustering a host for battle. They come from a distant land, from the ends of the heavens." So this is a worldwide battle against God. Just know that. "And the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land." And so it's God's ambition to destroy everybody that fights against him, in this battle of Armageddon. Just know that. Verse 6, "Wail, for the day of the Lord is near. As destruction from the Almighty it will come." And that's in verse 6, to destroy everybody with the mark of the beast, 666. "Therefore all hands will be feeble and every heart will melt. They will be dismayed. Pangs and agony will seize them. They will be in anguish like a woman in labor. They will look aghast at one another. Their faces will be aflame." That's literally, it's going to be burned. Verse 9, "Behold, the day of the Lord comes, cruel with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land a desolation and to destroy its sinners from it." And so again, just know that. Desolation and depopulation is all the same thing, and so it's all God's ambition to destroy everybody with the mark of the beast. And at this point, they'll all have it. "For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light." So now we start getting into the sequence, and this is where you have to understand other parts of the Bible. Verse 10 starts with a reference to Matthew 24, where after the sun will not give its light, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall, then Christ returns. And so that's the reference here. It's indirect, but it's an amazing link to Matthew 24. I'll read verse 10 again. "For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light." And so that's referring to Christ's return. "And he will take away his elect and bring the two witnesses" here. Verse 11, "I will punish the world for its evil and the wicked for the iniquity." And so now we're going to go into specifics of the wrath. "I will put an end to the pomp of the arrogant and lay low the pompous pride of the ruthless. I will make people more rare than fine gold." So God's ambition is to depopulate the earth. "And mankind than the gold of Ophir. Therefore I'll make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken out of its place, and the wrath of the Lord of hosts in the day of his fierce anger. And like a hunted gazelle, or like a sheep with none to gather them, each will turn to his own people, and each will flee to his own land." And so that's another incredible cross-reference to the book of 2nd Ezra, 15, 17 to 19. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to." So people are going to literally be on lockdown, and we see that happening right now. Verse 18, "For people of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." And so that's exactly the same language that Christ uses in Matthew 24. It's not regular tribulation, because that's what the elect are saved out of. After the tribulation of those days, Christ returns. So after God's elect are taken away, it begins a time that's described here in 2nd Ezra 15, and I'm reading in Isaiah 13, of great tribulation. So just know that. And this is tribulation the world has never seen and will never see again. That's what Christ promises. Okay, so I'll read that again. "Each will turn to his own people, and each will flee to his own land. Whoever is found will be thrust through, and whoever is caught will fall by the sword. Their infants will be dashed in pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be plundered and their wives ravished. That's again consistent with the language in the book of 2nd Ezra. So they're talking about now a time of chaos, and calamity and quote unquote great tribulation. And then now we're going to see America being destroyed. Verse 17, behold, I am stirring up the Medes. So I refer people to Jeremiah 50, verse 9. That's modern day Iran, the Medo-Persian Empire, who have no regard for silver and do not delight in gold. They're not going to be doing this for financial reasons. They're doing it just strictly because God wants that, like we read earlier, and we know from Revelation 17 and 18. Their bows will slaughter the young men. They will have no mercy on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes will not pity children. So they're going to be lobbing these missiles that do not miss. And I posted a video not too long ago where they're boasting about that they've developed technology that their quote unquote arrows will not miss their targets. And they're designed that way. And verse 19, and Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the splendor and pomp of the Chaldeans, which is the ancient rulers of Babylon, but in modern day, it would be Edom or whatever you want to call the governing structures in America, will be like Sodom and Gomorrah, and God overthrew them. And so America's modern day Sodom, spiritually Sodom and Egypt. And so this again is consistent language with the book of Revelation. Not a big surprise. When God overthrew them, it will never be inhabited again. This is language consistent with Revelation. It will never be inhabited again or lived in for all generations. No Arab will pitch his tent there. We actually literally have Arabs here, so these prophecies actually hold directly. It's speaking of like maybe Arab people in the Middle East in that time, but it's a mixed nation here. And so there's actually literally Arabs here in America. But wild animals will lie down there, and their houses will be full of howling creatures. Their ostriches will dwell, and their wild goats will dance. Hyenas will cry in its tower, and jackals in the pleasant places. Its time is close at hand, and its days will not be prolonged. And so I suspect these days are very, very close. So that's America's destruction. And so moving on to chapter 14, the restoration of Jacob. For the Lord will have compassion on Jacob and will again choose Israel and will set them in their own land, and sojourners will join them and will attach themselves to the house of Jacob. These are people from other nations, prophesied to be in the kingdom. And the peoples will take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel will possess them in the Lord's land as male and female slaves. So everybody of the other nations will be serving God's elect, the Israelites, and then they're all going to be serving Christ. And that's a hierarchy, and we're reminded of that here. And so they're going to be subservient to the will and the desires and the direction of Christ, who will be ruling on this earth. And so we're reminded of that here. They will take captive those who were their captors and rule over them who oppressed them. And so all the other nations that oppress the Israelites, it's going to be reversed now, and it's going to be everlasting. And so the pruning is done. And so that's what we're told here. And so this is an amazing thing, amazing promise for the elect. Verse 3, when the Lord has given you rest from your pain and turmoil and the hard service which you are made to serve, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. So the title of that is Israel's Remnant Taunts Babylon. And so, like I said, God's elect have been taken away already, like I read in Isaiah 13:10. So this remnant is a group in the Middle East, and I'm going to do a lesson on that shortly. And so just know that they're going to know that all this is happening, because they're going to literally see stuff in the sky and just America being burned. And so they're going to be taunting Babylon when this happens. And this is, again, consistent with Revelation 11, where after this great tribulation period, the two witnesses are killed and taken away. And then the remnant see what's going on. They know that it's the end now. And so they're going to rejoice, and all that kind of stuff, that, the kingdom is very, very close at that point. And so they're going to be happy about this. And so just know that when the Lord has given you rest from your pain and turmoil and hard service, which you are made to serve, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How the oppressor has ceased, the insolent fury ceased. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of rulers, that struck the people in wrath with unceasing blows, that ruled the nations in anger with unrelenting persecution. It's describing modern day America. What else could it be? The whole earth is at rest and quiet. They bring forth into singing. The cypresses rejoice at you, the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid low, no woodcutter comes up against us. Sheol beneath is stirred up to meet you when you come. It rouses the shades to greet you. All who are leaders of the earth, it raises from their thrones, and all who are kings of the nations. All of them will answer and say to you, you too have become weak as we. So the amount that America has destroyed other people, the Bible is saying here, give double unto it and destroy it. And then there's people rejoicing, the remnant in the Middle East. Your pomp is brought down to Sheol, the sound of your harps. This again, consistent language with Revelation 17 and 18, where all these musicians that come out of America are silenced. Maggots are laid as a bed beneath you, and worms are your covers. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. You said it in your heart, I will send to heaven above the stars of God, out of the quote unquote firmament. It's like funny, but like, we're going to like build cities on all these different planets and all that kind of stuff. They just made up stuff. And so they're essentially exalting themselves above God. No. We got a room higher than God, and like we're above God and that kind of stuff. We got the top floor, that kind of deal. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I'll read that again. Sorry, verse 13. You said in your heart, I will send to heaven above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. That's what the ambition of the leadership here is in America. But you are brought down to Sheol, to the far reaches of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you and ponder over you. Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook kingdoms, who made the world like a desert and overthrew its cities, who did not let his prisoners go home? All the kings of the nations lie in glory, each in his own tomb. But you are cast out away from your grave like a loath branch, clothed with the slain, those pierced by the sword, who go down to the stones of the pit. Like a dead body trampled underfoot, you will not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land. You have slain your people. May the offspring of evildoers never more be named. So this place is just going to be laid waste and never be thought of again. Prepare slaughter for his sons because of the guilt of their fathers, lest they raise and possess the earth and fill the face of the world with cities. Verse 22, I will rise up against them, declares the Lord of hosts, and will cut off from Babylon name and remnant, descendants and posterity, declares the Lord, and I will make it a possession of the hedgehog and pools of water, and it will sweep it with a broom of destruction, declares the Lord of hosts. There's going to be ashes, laid waste by, in the very least, Iran, the Medes. And so, to me, this is an incredibly powerful thing. Then it goes into an oracle concerning Assyria. And so now the focus is going to always shift to the Middle East. And then we see that here by referencing Assyria. The Lord of hosts has sworn, as I have planned, so it shall be. As I have purposed, so shall it stand, that I will break the Assyrian in my land, and on my mountains trample him underfoot. This is Christ returning with his elect, and it's literally going to be under their feet, in these so-called UFOs. So every time it talks about under their feet, it's literal. And his yoke shall depart from them, and his burden from their shoulder. This is the purpose that is purpose concerning the whole earth. Again, now it's a worldwide battle with Christ coming and destroying underfoot. Verse 66. This is those with the mark of the beast. This is the purpose that is purpose concerning the whole earth. And this is the hand that is stretched out over all the nations. For the Lord of hosts has purpose, and who will annul it? ? It's rhetorical. His hand is stretched out, and who will turn it back? ? And so this is now the wrath of God, the Armageddon, the battle in the Middle East. And so these two set of chapters are incredible. It might be worth me actually going through this again in a bit more detail, get some more of the cross references, but amazingly powerful. And so again, it always follows the same sequence: salvation, a time of great tribulation and wrath, America being destroyed, and then a battle in the Middle East to destroy everybody with the mark of the beast. And no shocker, we see that again here in Isaiah 13 and 14. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.